was working with a very, very disadvantaged caseload. Very interesting, the Beacon estate. It's almost hidden disadvantage. You could go to Falmouth and not even know that the Beacon estate was there. I think it was always a hidden problem. It's an estate of 1,008 homes, 6,000 people actually live there. The housing, certainly when I started as a health visitor there, the housing stock was in very poor repair, because it was, after all, the poorest estate in Cornwall, and given that Cornwall's the poorest county in England, you're talking about the poorest estate in the poorest county. It was a case for the residents, I think, of survival. Keep your head down. If your neighbour's house was being vandalised, as they were, well, that's okay because it's not my place. There was a sense of, well, yes, we know it's dreadful, but we can't do anything about it. You know, there was a sense that nothing could change on that estate, and they'd all filed it into the too difficult file. That's how it felt. Nobody was going to do anything, but we did. We had to. We decided to call it the Beacon Project, ironically, even though it was the centre for all the violence, because for us we just felt that a beacon was a symbol of light and hope, and actually that's exactly how it's turned out.
The Beacon Partnership's been running 13, coming on 14 years now. And it started when local health visitors noticed a need on the estate to do something about the huge problems we had with asthma and all the other sort of mental illnesses, depression, etc., basically due to the poor housing conditions that we all lived in. A gang of tenants got together, not knowing what they were going to do, but fortunately got together at the right time and managed to land £1.2 million of government funding, backed up by £1 million of Carrick's funding. And luckily we had the privilege of leading the spend on 2.2 million to do the estate up environmentally, in other words, insulation to housing, central heating, double glazing, all those things that we take for granted which we never had on the estate at the time. And it's all led on from there.
We're going to see Tony Ashcroft now, which is wonderful for me because I haven't seen him for some time. He was such an important guy in the Beacon Project. Hello, Tony. How lovely to see you.
Right. In the beginning, it started off that there was a group of us on the estate. We were fed up of the state of the estate. The way it was on the estate, nothing was being done, and in the end the group of us thought, right, we'll try something, we'll go round knocking on everyone's doors, see if they're interested in having something done about it.
I've never forgotten that night. It was a cold winter's night, and in one part of the room, Phil and I were sitting hoping the 20 residents were going to turn up, and in the other was the representative from Carrick Council, who honestly didn't believe anybody would turn up. And it was absolutely agonising waiting for those tenants to turn up, who we felt so sure would come. Out of the 20, 5 actually committed. I think the extraordinary thing about the Beacon Project is we didn't have any money when we started, so we sort of did it with no money. I think we had about, by the time we sort of thought, well, yeah, how on earth are we going to do all this stuff, we had about £35.50. There was a lot of anger that night, and they were in absolutely no doubt. They told the police, you need to come onto this estate, we need more of a physical presence, we're fed up with all the crime and vandalism, so we want crime reduced, we want vandalism reduced, we want to feel safe, we want our kids to be able to play in the street. That was a very, very powerful night, I think, in terms of, I actually had a sense that night that everything would change. Mainly because I saw the effect it had on the service providers. It was very dramatic. And I still to this day don't think there's any substitute for doing that. You know, service providers, it's so easy, isn't it, for agencies to lock themselves up in their gilded cages and not actually understand the lived experience of the tenants and residents that they're supposed to serve. So that night they really did have a good understanding of what those people, what their lives were like.
The winners for the South West region are the Beacon Project, Falmouth, Cornwall. Somebody please.
They've improved housing, they've improved the whole outlook of the estate. I'm not just talking sort of visually as well, aesthetically, but in addition to that, there are obviously things that work well for us as a police, because all of these things are linked with crime and crime and disorder, and antisocial behaviour. And if you can raise the profile of an estate or an area, then there are obviously knock-on effects which the police benefit from, in the sense of a sense of ownership, a sense of well-being, which obviously is all links into our crime and disorder problem.
We got approached by two young children. They wanted somewhere to skateboard or use their inline skates, and it's a case of not outside of my door, get up your own end of the road. So I approached council for a piece of land. It took us 4 years to get the land, the funding. It was £47,000, and 3 women got the first skateboard park in Falmouth, and that's girl power, I tell you.
The police are probably one of our best partner agencies. We've got loads of partners from Children's Service, NHS, education, councils, all the funders. But the police are probably the best users of our service.
People feel that they can approach, it improves the channels for communication. People on the estate can talk to Grenville and they can talk to other people at the partnership. They don't necessarily want to talk to the police. So quite often they'll use the office as a conduit to us, the police, and as a result we have better crime statistics, results, detections and things like that. It helps us in all sorts of ways.
I think I'd sum it up the way one of the judges for the Deputy Prime Minister's Awards summed it up. And they simply said that if every area in Britain had a Beacon partnership, this country would be a much better place to live in.
Without it, this estate would fall apart, completely fall apart.
They don't have any protective equipment, they don't have CS spray handcuffs, and they walk around single crewed, day, night, evenings, here by themselves, as the police do, and as do all the residents. You know, it's changed dramatically.
The Beacon Project has absolutely fantastic sort of system and scheme. I would recommend it to anybody in any area right across the country.
The role of the Beacon Project is dead simple. We're here to help anybody, anytime, in any way we can. Technically, we should be helping the people of the Penwaris ward. That's what we're set up to do, but we never turn anyone away. We've had them come from all over the county. We provide a welfare benefits advice service, runs for 2 hours a week, costs £30 a week to run, and last year brought £55,000 in unclaimed benefits back onto the estate.